Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming to our emergency preparedness meeting. The class is $50. You can make checks payable to Joel Miller anytime during. So, I'm kidding. Thank you all for being here. We want to start off in prayer, but I did want to share just a reminder, even though we are in very uncertain times with our economy and with natural disasters and rumors of wars and things that Jesus talked about, we want to be confident in the fact that God provides, and we are not to be motivated by fear in any way. God does call us to use wisdom. He is kind and gracious to prophetically, reveal to people when, something is coming. Of course, you remember in the days of Joseph when there was going to be 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. And, God was gracious to show him that so that he could use wisdom and prepare for those 7 years and store up. The widow that Elisha visited didn't seem to be prepared for how bad that famine was, and God provided for her too, even though she was not as prepared as she would have liked. And God multiplied that oil, as many vessels as she brought, till she said to Elisha, "There are no more." And then Elijah, fed by the ravens. So our God provides. But when God reveals that, hey, use wisdom, prepare in the event of an emergency, we need to do that. But I want to encourage each of you that our God is greater than anything that we can encounter, and that fear has no place in our lives. So let's pray, and then I'm going to turn it over to John and Elsie. Father, thank you for this time this evening. Thank you that you take care of your people, that when there are things maybe coming down the pike, Lord, you give prophetic words and you give us revelation so that we can be prepared. And Lord, even when things come and we're not prepared, Lord, you still, that doesn't hold you back from taking care of us, just as you did for the widow that met with Elisha and saw her oil multiplied and miraculously supplied. You feed the 5,000, you provide in such miraculous ways, Father, and we just thank you for who you are in our lives. We thank you for your goodness, and thank you for the understanding and skill and wisdom that you've given John and Elsie and to be able to share this information with us and their experience in this. So help us to soak in everything that we can and to learn more about how we can be prepared in these uncertain times. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Joel. Well, welcome everybody. This kind of came on a little fast, but in another way, it's like way past due. We've had the purpose of tonight's meeting. Lately, several of us have been approached or been talking about preparing. We're hearing different things. We hear things from prophetic voices, from Christian voices, anticipating that there's going to be some bad times ahead, knocking right on the door. It's going to happen soon. We're hearing from the financial community about economic disaster. We're hearing from all sorts of sources that something bad may happen. Some go more definite, it's going to happen. Just a little bit of my background. I've had a chance since I retired from the Army to be on 15 disasters with FEMA, going door to door, talking with individuals and finding out some things. And I think there's a few lessons I want to bring forth and to share with you with that as well. Along the same line, Elsie and Ed Preston and Sylvia and myself have, and I think there were some others, led this preparation peace class. It's been a few years that we've done it, although Ed and Elsie just recently did one with Neighborhood Group. So they're fresh. They're fresh with it right now. This booklet, I've been trying to contact the authors, but I know them. I met them down in Kansas City about 15 years or so ago. And they're probably out on one of the 20-some disasters that's declared right now within the United States, or they may be out of country working a disaster. So I've not been able to get a hold of them to get more books at a discount. I do know that these books are available, and you're going to hear some different resources through the evening. And by no means are we the overall experts. Probably a lot of you have looked up different resources and have a lot to share. And that's what's good about being together in a group. We can share some information. This goes about $31, I think, right now on Amazon. Might be a little pricey, but it's a good book. It'll have a lot of the checklists that we're going to provide you tonight, but more than that, and Joel said it well, we want you to be at peace. It's called Preparedness, Peace. Preparedness, Peace. And the idea being is that you're at peace with your physical resources, the food, the plan you have in place for cooking, for shelter, for water, for all of that, but also you have that confidence that God is watching over us. And we want to be able to share that with neighbors. One thing about a disaster, about an emergency, it's a great opportunity for outreach. It really is. Folks are looking. You know, why did God do this to us? They need comfort. They need Jesus. And this is an opportunity to open doors. Okay. One thing, we decided it was time really to revisit the preparedness classes. The intent tonight is to plant the seeds with you of preparedness, to get each of us thinking about how our individual situations would shake out during an emergency, as well as maybe we can work together as a group to work through a likely disaster. We hope to inspire you to take steps towards preparedness individually. We need to work towards a plan to shelter in place or to evacuate, to have enough food, to have enough water, to have enough resources. We want you to have that peace, that spiritual peace. And we want to plant seeds. We're going to show you a few things that are fairly low cost that would be good to get started. And I think Sylvia might even have a gift for you tonight. So one little something to get you started. All right, our situation, I'm not going to go into tonight what could cause the disaster. There's a lot of voices out there, a lot of things that it could be, if the power were to go out, for example, that it's China hacking our system, our grid is faulty, could be an earthquake, could be an ice storm. We've gone through ice storms. Just recently, we lost power for most of a day, and others for a couple days with Helene, just about a month ago. So I'm not here to say what's going to happen. I don't know. But we put together a scenario that we're going to work towards. And that scenario is this. I want everybody to work towards preparing 2 to 3 weeks, no electricity, no water, because the water systems depend on electric to push it forward, and in the winter. Think about that. We could plan for nice weather, but really, this could all happen in the winter. So with those 3 things in mind, no power, no electricity, no water, and in the winter. That's going to be the scenario we work with. Now, there are levels of catastrophes, and I can tell you, I've been on several hurricane recovery scenarios where there's home damage, catastrophic home damage, floods, even people that don't live by a river but live by maybe a overactive ditch can get flooded, or a little happy stream that's happy 360 days out of the year all of a sudden becomes angry and floods your house. There's tornadoes, there's fires, there's all sorts of levels of disasters. But I think for us, most likely scenario, right? Most likely scenario is that loss of power, loss of water, and in the winter, right? So we're going to prepare for that. If something more comes, at least we've got that part going, okay? That's a start. That's what we're aiming for tonight, to get started, to get you thinking, and to have some resources in your hands to first evaluate, where are we at right now? Where am I at? Do I have a supply of stuff? What would happen if power went off? Can I stay home? Is it warm enough? How would I stay warm? How would I cook? All these things we want to talk about tonight, okay? Let me slide through. Joel touched on a little bit of a biblical background. Why should I prepare? And there'll be some folks, why should I prepare? God will supply all my needs. Okay? I get that. And there's biblical background for that, and Joel mentioned that. Okay? In Exodus 16, God provided manna and quail for 40 years. They didn't have to till the first thing, or maybe they had to make their own coffee. Maybe they didn't have coffee for 40 years. I can't even imagine that, okay? But in Matthew 6, Jesus says, "Therefore, do not worry, saying, 'What shall we eat? What shall we drink? Or what shall we wear?' For after all these things the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knows that you need these things. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you." The key verse there is seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Is he telling you, as you seek, God, how do you want me to prepare? Is he telling you, prepare 7 years for multiple nations to come and you can feed them in this dire famine? He told that to Joseph. But others, he may be telling you, have comfort to prepare this 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 3 or 4 days, maybe more than that. And I would think that some of us would want to prepare for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, maybe. Maybe somebody he's telling, go totally off-grid. Go totally solar. Don't rely on anything at all. Go totally off-grid. But what's God telling you? This is personal. This is personal. Okay? I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to provide a scenario, and that's the scenario I just presented. And I think it's a fair start. Pastor Joel, I remember this said when Y2K was coming around. Anybody remember Y2K? And there was like, oh, buy rice, buy beans, buy ammunition, buy all, of course, so you can shoot those people trying to get your rice and beans. And it was like, it was nearly the end of the world. And Pastor Joel didn't hear that in his spirit. But what he says, like a farmer preparing for a winter storm, we should be ready for 3 or 4 weeks of a winter storm. So it's along this line, as a good start, that I think we need to go ahead and prepare. Well, we want to be proactive versus reactive. I mentioned at the board meeting last night, the worst time to buy a generator is when you need a generator, right? Right now would be a good time to get a generator, if that's when you got. Good for you. And then rehearse that. The time we need toilet paper was not 2 days after COVID starts. We found that out. So preparing for those things ahead of time, being proactive versus reactive is what we want to do. There's a term we use in the Army called wargaming, okay? Everybody should run through the scenario. And what I'd like to do is, if we continue to meet, which I think quite likely we will, to check how each other's doing. Eventually, it'd be nice to run an exercise, okay? Such and such a day, we plan it out, lights go off, water's done, let's see how we do for 24 hours. Okay? See how that goes. It'd be at your home, more than likely. I think some of this food that you can buy that's like a 30-day supply for one person, it's a lot of calories and it's supposed to be good for you. Has anybody ever cooked one of those? Have you? See, I'm guilty. I have not. I've got a tote, but, I've never hauled out, the first thing. So that sort of thing, practice, Maybe somebody's had a lot of stuff stored up and now it's out of date and expired. Have you gone through your stuff? So that's other things that we want to encourage to do, okay? Some things we're not going to cover tonight, but just be aware of, is a go bag. To-go bag, for our scenario, we're not evacuating, okay? For our scenario, and there's all this in the book on things you can do, and it's designed for folks in all sorts of areas where they would need to evacuate. Down in Florida, down in North Carolina, a lot of folks had to evacuate. Where do you go? How do you communicate with each other? How do you do that if cell phones go down? And I've been to areas. How do you do that if you can't get gas because electricity is off and you can't pump gas? Lots of things to think about in war game. And this is a good time to be doing that sort of thing. Well, to get started, I'm going to have Miss Elsie come up, and one thing we're going to talk about that we don't think about, and we think about the water and food, but she's going to talk about some documents that you may want to have prepared.
Okay, I'm not going to take a long time because we're going to give you the handout of this along with other things, but this is about your documents, and I'll go over each heading here so you'll know what I'm talking about. But it says start thinking about who you want to pursue the preparedness with. Is it just your family? Or is it your family and best friends? Or maybe just next door neighbors, whomever? So just think about that. And then gather all of your personal documents. And they may be scattered all over the house, or if you're not that way, maybe they're all in one place. But, and this says, and you'll see when you see the list, but it says, yes, the list is daunting because this is a comprehensive list of suggested documents to copy. And it says, so only copy what applies to you or what is relevant to your needs. And that's your personal discretion. And then put the originals in a fireproof safe or something like that. Now, here are the headings. And just think about this in about a document. So, yes. Oh, okay, handout, okay. Okay. So addresses. And if I go down through all of this, it'll take too long, and you're getting the handout. So addresses, information about your vehicles, information about your church in regards to you, education, which means diplomas, etc., employment, like maybe copy your most recent paycheck stub, things that you would need information regarding if something happened. Estate planning, very important. Let's see, and then family, Pictures, I have been thinking about this for the last 3 years, and I've thought, I'm going to bring all of our photos to the fellowship hall, and one table is going to be Ed from birth to right now, pictures, me a next table, and then family with us, and so forth. And I haven't done it yet. But you know, pictures are just precious to you. And weed out the ones that you don't need anymore, somebody that you don't even remember who it is. And then certificates like birth, adoption, citizenship, divorce, marriage, death, passports. Yes, there's a good list there. Then financial, I'm just jumping on down, your bank name and account number, et cetera, your safety deposit box, what's in it, tax return. And then genealogy, that's back to family really again. Your home, just as simple as your house and car keys. Then your evacuation plan and escape routes, all these things that you've written down. And then record of home repairs and maintenance. Then housing, your mortgage statement, deeds, homeowners or renters insurance and coverage information, on down to insurance, the many kinds of insurance, medical, who knows your medical history, and about prescriptions that you take. That's another thing to be sure you have. If there's something you have to have every day, then make sure that you have enough on hand. And your doctor, your hospital, dental records, and you know, it's kind of a maybe we don't want to talk about, but how many times have you heard someone was identified because of dental, and then checked with records, and bless those people in North Carolina, you know, what they've been going through, and how many of them were ready. I mean, they didn't see this coming. And then back to photos, which I just see that as family again. But so that's a comprehensive list of suggested documents to copy, and then know where the originals are in one safe place. And then, as he said, if you do have to evacuate for some reason, then you take everything with you, but you know where those are. So. Next.
I want to talk a little bit about your decision to shelter in place, shelter in your home. This is going to be the winter, and so there are a wide variety of generators. There's gas-powered, diesel. There's some that are dual-fueled. These generators can run on propane or natural gas and gasoline. Those are very handy. There's solar, more pricey on the outset, but something that you don't have to worry about getting fuel for down the line. So there's a lot of options, a lot of prices, and again, I couldn't give you a one-size-fits-all because everybody's situation is just a little bit different. But one thing with these generators, we've got a friend who's got one that's about the medium-sized gas run one, has a little automatic start on it, and he had the electrician pre-wire his a little outside box that hooks into his circuits, his inside, and run his washer, his dryer, a microwave, lights, all sorts of things, and heat, and it's not a very big generator. So there's some solutions to look at, things like that. I would encourage you to start talking, and if you would like some advice, we can put our heads together and see what fits for you, see what fits for your family, for your situation in this scenario. You could pay thousands. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options on there, and But there's some that are a little bit more reasonable, to do. If you have wood heat, wood stove, you could even cook over a wood stove. Some folks have that. Not everybody's hooked up with that or able to be hooked up with that. Natural gas. We didn't take natural gas away from this because we found out that quite often natural gas still is available when in some of these scenarios. So we haven't taken that out of the mix for our particular scenario. I could recommend a variety. I know Lowe's and Home Depot, and there's Harbor Freight. There's a variety of places that sell generators. So look at the reviews and decide what might be a good solution. If you don't want to have it hooked up to the house, running it outside, they all need to be run outside except solar. You could have your solar generator right beside your refrigerator if you want. That's safe. It's a nice solution if one can afford that. But the generators run outside. Some just run extension cords in. Put it into your refrigerator. Get that and your freezer. Make sure those are beefed up. Let me talk a little bit about refrigerators and freezers. Probably the first thing that on one of these disasters when there's no power, heartbreaking, people all of a sudden lose $400 to $600 worth of food because after a couple of days it goes bad, especially if they have to evacuate and they can't come back for 3, 4, 5, 6 days. And in that situation, not just the food goes bad, but you typically have to throw away the appliance because it stinks, and there's no recovering that. So when the power first comes out, that should be one of the things that we want to make sure is beefed up. And if it's cold outside, it may delay your loss of food, but if it goes on for a while, it's not going to delay it for very long. Okay? Sheltering in your home, another thing to consider about in the winter is pipes freezing. And so there's another situation why you want to have heat in there and not just tough it out and put extra sweaters on. We do want to get you with extra power. We want to get you to that point. Now, if all of this may sound a little overwhelming, and there is a cost, and that's where where we could work with you on, let's evaluate. Let's see where we're at. So like I say, one size does not fit all on this, on generation. But that's the goal. Now, there are some places where that's not an option to stay at your home. You may not have the storage space. You may, for whatever reason, may need to move. That's part of the plan we need to establish. Where would you go? Who would you stay with? And so there are those things to consider as well. We've got some checklists that we're going to hand out here in a moment as well to help give you a pre-assessment on where you stand right now. Fill it out at your leisure and take it home, talk together, talk with somebody. I would recommend that, and just evaluate where we're at with all that. I think at this point we'll hand those out. That was this one right here. Okay? And while those are getting handed out, see, we've talked about shelter, we've talked about a cooking plan. Just briefly, on a cooking plan, if you are in the house, some folks can cook off their grill outside, right? If you're warm enough inside, but you don't have a way to cook to power your electric stove, you could cook on a grill outside. We already talked about wood stove. Folks cook on top of the wood stove. So there are some options there. We're going to be doing a little show and tell. This is one that Nathan Shepard was showing me. It's a little stove that hooks up to this butane, and there's another one that hooks up to the same thing, or they also hook up to the little green container. And this one, I'm not highly trained on it, maybe he can show you, but you turn it on and it clicks on with a little igniter right there. Slick as can be, but don't do it inside. The same thing, don't do it inside, just for safety purposes. It's the fumes, we don't want that. Miss Sylvia, are you available to talk about water?
My little segment is water, which you can't go very long without. But just some thoughts and some things that I'm married to a military guy, so I know how to take a bath with very little water. So, and personal experience. So you can take a bath with much less water than you think. And so, so that's one thought. The next thought is how much water you're going to need. And we have a chart here for beginning to acquire that so that you have drinkable water. Just some tips that if you have a 2-liter soda bottle, don't throw that away. I know that you could recycle it, but you could also fill it with water and use that for your toilets, or use it later to be disinfected to make it drinkable, or and it doesn't cost anything. You don't have to go out and buy a gallon of water if you just begin to think about reusing what you've already got and what you're already going to be using and disposing of anyways. And then, of course, we all know that it's some of these notes in here. It's not necessary to treat water from the public supply if it's already chlorinated. Some extra places to store water is, of course, your bathtub, 55-gallon barrel, if the water is predicted to be unavailable or contaminated. So get a backup plan for how to store extra water. When I was growing up, if it was going to be a storm, my mom said, "Oh, go fill the bathtub." So those types of things. But I've also seen things. It's like a bladder almost, so to speak, and you can just fill it in your bathtub and leave it in your bathtub. So it's not in. It's actually in a container, sort of. So then. Let's see, 5-gallon plastic water containers are available at Army supply stores, sporting goods stores, discount and preparedness stores. However, my thought on that is you need to make the water accessible to you in sizes that you can manage. I can't lift a 5-gallon thing and up over and put it in a dispenser and like these guys do on their shoulders, and they can't do that. So when you're thinking about water and you're thinking about amounts, but try to remember to think about it in a manageable weight that you can. Water's very heavy. And then there's one of these water flyers addresses how to decontaminate water and how many drops of Clorox to put in it to make it drinkable. There's some storage suggestions here for if you have a basement, a way to store the waters in the rafters, which is unused space. Of course, gray water that's what you would use for your toilets, and etc. If it's from a rain barrel or from a stream, it must be purified and filtered for drinking. And then there's ways to purify it. You can boil it for 2 minutes using iodine tablets dissolved in the water, or using a water filter to clean the water for drinking. Or you should have, let's see, I lost my train of thought. This suggests looking at a topographical map and finding water resources near you. So things that you're not really thinking about, these are suggestions in this book. Ponds, lakes, creeks, rivers offer urban solutions for accessing more water. Rain barrels, swimming pools, etc. for water. Okay, then let's see, cool water facts. Use dishwashing soap bottles liquid laundry soap bottles, liquid soap bottles. After you use it all up, don't rinse it. Fill the water and label bottle soapy water. That way you will have it to use for sanitation and not have to use precious drinking water for washing dishes, personal hygiene, etc. Improve the taste of water by pouring it back and forth between containers, and it will add oxygen to the water and improve its taste. So things that you can be thinking about, containers, dishwashing soap, non-scented household bleach, and permanent markers so that you can date things. Dating things for rotation is important. Making sure that you're changing it around and putting recent purchases at the back and bringing other things forward. Rotating is important. Also, what I was thinking when you were talking about generators, gas cans. Start purchasing gas cans. They can be pricey, but you know, if you start purchasing them a little at a time, then it's more achievable. So I think that's pretty good about water, and we'll hand out a water chart about how much water each individual person needs. Another thought on water is we waste a vast amount of water just waiting for it to get hot. So be thinking about that. That could be going into a container that you can then set aside. So I guess that's it. What's up next?
Thank you, Miss Sylvia. In the service, as she mentioned, we would get our shower, our cleaning, before you go to bed to wash up in a steel pot. In our helmet, we'd have water in our helmet, or later on just in a bottle of water. And you could really get yourself clean with just that little bit, with a washcloth and soap and a small amount of water, just to get clean. Until these came out. Oh, we love getting baby wipes, because now we didn't have to worry about even taking a bath. That just helps you out a lot. So baby wipes is another real nice thing. Ms. Sylvia was mentioning about swimming pools. Why would, you could get the water from the swimming pool, and through a purification system like a life straw, where it would take out the impurities. And there, we've got a bigger one here somewhere. I think we'll show it. It's on this side. So there's options to filter. This is high volume. It's supposed to filter a couple zillion gallons or something. I don't know. It says there how many that would help to purify. So that's another good option. I was on one deployment where we were in a place with no electric and no water, because the water filtration plant was toast in one of these hurricanes down outside of Houston, Texas. But there was a swimming pool, and they wouldn't even cut me a discount on the hotel. It was like, well, there's no this, there's no that, but no, it's still $99 a night, whatever it was. But we do have a swimming pool. Please take your little trash can and fill it up and flush your toilet with the swimming pool water. So they did provide that. That was nice. So to be creative, if there's a swimming pool in your neighborhood, or you have one, or a neighbor has one, that's a good source of some water as well. Thank you, Sylvia. I want to talk a little bit about food. There are lots of options for food. You probably get advertisements, or maybe have looked up advertisements for this bucket or this tote that has 30 days supply to last 25 years. That's a 30-day supply for one person. Little pricey, but it's there and compact and one thing. Again, that's one I've not cooked. Some of you have cooked those things, and I know I grew up. Most of my military career, I've had MREs. Similar sort of thing, right? They last forever. Nutritious, at least high calories, and a lot of good food. So there's those kind of options. But if you don't want to buy a big, a tote that's all there, and just chew, and then you're at the mercy of whatever they provide in there, there's a lot of good options. And we've got, I don't know if we printed that off, but there's some things, get what you like to eat. Get what you like to eat. We bought a lot of rice a long time ago, but we didn't really use it up because we're okay with rice, but so get what you will definitely like to eat. Yes, ma'am.
One thing I want to say with the grocery prices the way they are, Kroger has gone to the digital coupons. If you don't know how to do the digital coupons, get with one of us and we'll show you how to do it. Because they have hot deals or weekly digital deals that you're allowed 5 of these certain ones if you download the coupon on your phone. And then, so there's 99-cent peanut butter or 99-cent tomato sauce for spaghetti. There's a lot of things that they really bring down the price of, and you're allowed 5 of each of those things. But only if you've got the digital coupon downloaded on your phone and you can go through the register. So they make it kind of technical. But so there's a way to get reduced groceries to begin to stock up. And I had some other thought with that, the digital coupons. It's gone. So.
I'll be right with you. Talking with the deacons and elders last night, we want to assist on what the selection of some foods are. So we're going to try to get together, and if somebody here would like to help out with this, to kind of plan, like what would be good to have in a pantry? What would be good to have in a pantry? And let's maybe get some of that, and then be able to help distribute to our families. And we want to make sure we're all well cared for. So we do have some resources, but that would be something if somebody would like to help out on that. We want to help present that. Okay, I think at this point, yes, ma'am.
This also pertains to preparedness. Be wise in what you say and whom you say it to. You just don't need to broadcast your preparation. You don't need to broadcast what you have at home. Bad people exist. So this is going to be edited out. That's why we didn't send this live, because of the sensitivity of some of the information. So you just be closed lips about it, closed mouthed about it. Don't necessarily speak around.
I just thought of this, and oh yeah. Since my Mr. Ed is under the weather, that's why he's not here. And he reminded me the other day, he's thought of this more than once. He said, we need to have a teaching on canning, because not everybody knows how to do home canning. And so that may be something down the road that we think about also. Of course, the canning season's over, but maybe for the future, because some people have just tons of home canned jars of food, even meats. So just thought of that.
Back on the life straw, I thought of that. If anybody knows with this, you can take this with you in your purse, in your backpack, in your go bag, and you can just use it directly in whatever dirty puddle of water you see, and it purifies the water. But this, you don't, in other words, to carry around many bottles of water, if you're in that type of scenario, is heavy. It's heavy and it's cumbersome. But this, you just bring it with you and you can drink plenty. This is, well, it says on here somewhere how many gallons of water it will purify.
It does last a good long time. I think at this point, we'd like to entertain questions. Ma'am, hold on a second. What if you ladies would go ahead? We're not going to put the camera on you, but if you could say your question, and then I'll repeat it for the camera.
Mine's not really a question. It's just to bring out. I've got 3 of those packs of food, but you have to have water. Mm-hmm. So just want to bring that out.
That's right. So these packs of food, a lot of them are dehydrated, and you do need water to reconstitute it, which is why having a water supply. So now, as Sylvia mentioned, there's water for just drinking, water for cooking, water for sanitizing, water for flushing. So there's all those things you need to prepare a certain amount for.
This particular item is a battery. Charge it up, and it's got 3 different ports. Thank you. I was going through my Rolodex of words. And then it's also got ports here. So this is just a battery. And what did he say it would do? Do you remember what he said it would do?
It'll charge your cell phone about 5 or 6 times, I think,
yeah.
he said on that one. And there's different ones. I've seen little tiny
So
ones. I've
you're
seen
welcome to
bigger
come up and
ones.
look.
Some
Right.
Some have are charged back up by solar, which is in our scenario would be good.
Nathan Shepard has shared this with us. This is a vacuum, and you press the button and it counts down, something like that. He showed me briefly before the start of the meeting on mason jars to vacuum out the air out of a mason jar. And you can adjust it so it does wide mouth jars also. So,
I asked him if that is for candy. Does that replace canning? He says, no, it's not like the hot candy, but
Right.
if you're going to store rice or something in a mason jar,
without
it helps
moisture. Yeah, you
take
don't
that
want the
extra moisture and air out of it and seals it tight.
macaroni and things like that.
Other questions, thoughts, freakouts, whatever? Yes, you do need a Ford F-150 truck to haul this stuff around, I'm sure.
The beauty of
okay.
working together and networking, within our body here. You guys have this, we have that, et cetera, et cetera. Just a minute, Dee, I've got a question back here.
You might have spoke about it, but I came a little late. What about cash, having cash on hand?
The question was, what about cash? Excellent point. I just missed it. When the power goes out in some of these scenarios, also credit card machines don't work at stores. And so having cash
In small denominations.
in small denominations and including coins, but at least cash in small denominations is great, is wonderful, because let's say you go to any store and they won't be able to run your charge card or anything like that. So yes, thank you. That's a good question. Well, because they may not be able to cash $100 bills. So if you're needing something and you can do, pay with a 20 or a 10 or 5 or something like that, it depends on who's servicing you. They may not be able to cash something. So have a variety of bills to go. And merchants like smaller bills because it's less likely to be counterfeited and probably more readily acceptable by them.
I was asked this question, does the church have a generator?
Right at this minute, the church does not have a generator, but that came up in a discussion last night. So
Yeah.
and I think I'm at liberty to say this, we're thinking, but we really just got started thinking
Right.
about having, getting one building or the other on campus as
Right.
perhaps a shelter or at least a warm-up
Right.
station.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea, because there's going to be people that can't do this, And so if we had an option, you talk about an outreach ministry, that would really be, that's the reason I didn't know if we even had a generator.
And that's the first, we discussed it last night, and fresh, hot off the presses as far as outreach and caring for our folks.
Yes.
And exactly. Thank you. Yep.
Just jumping back to the water situation, when Sylvia said doesn't take much for a bath, but we found the alternative, and you may not need to use water at all, is these large wipes that are actually for bathing. And this is from Sam's, and these are in the box. And then this is the body towels, it says as well, just a package from Kroger. So that's a great alternative.
This is a high volume water filter. This does, what did we say, 4,700 gallons or something like that? Yeah, 47 gallons. 4,700 gallons of water for this. And then, Elsie, maybe you can, there's a, let's be practical, folks. Where are you going to use the restroom? So there's ways to prepare for that also. Yep. Yep. And the book addresses that also. The preparation piece book. Yep. And we've got another area that the book covers is identification and things like that. So we cover our children. And I did not have time to remind myself all about it, but it's about getting pictures and things like that. So if something should happen, someone else can go get your children, and they will release them to them. So that's very important because, we want to be prepared so that our children are protected and that they're not, a stranger's not going to wander in and try to take our children. So, they're, daycares or whatever. I'm not, come take our children. Yeah. 1,000 gallons. So thank you, Elsie. Life Straw is 1,000 gallons. One thing
It's
sorry.
called a Life Straw, and it's a personal filter for water.
Here you go. You can get them on Amazon. I think I've seen them at Walmart.
Has those. There's a variety of places.
They're much more prevalent now than they were a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the generator, and this was actually Brian's. Brian shared a lot with me, Brian McMullen, as far as giving me really good advice on what type of generator to get. But we each have a Predator generator. It's red and black, mostly red with black logo. Super, super quiet. So when you're considering purchasing a generator, you want to make sure that it's super quiet, because if there's an emergency and it's really loud, it screams, "Hey, steal me. Listen, neighbors, I've got a generator." So I tested ours out. We live in a subdivision. It's surrounded by houses. And so I put mine in the backyard and walked over almost into the neighbor's yard, really close, and I couldn't even hear it. So it's super, super quiet. And that would be something that you want to research, is how loud or how quiet is the generator. So, yep.
And that the noise or the level of sound is a consideration for security.
Yeah.
And there's a whole nother section on security, blacking out your windows so it's not a lot of light, and so it's not drawing attention. There's that sort of thing. But again,
It's not that dark.
we're about
Right.
wanting to be open to help out our neighbors too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to cover in that regard, but I think we kind of hosed you down with a fire hose on a start for this already. What other questions?
Well, I just wanted to, and you touched on that earlier too. God is God of multiplication. So Heidi Baker didn't have all that stuff. And watch what the Lord multiplies it to feed all those children. So lots of ministry. So we just begin to pray into that. The Lord's had us be praying into that. Lord, multiply this just, Lord, I thank you for multiplication. Multiply this laundry soap, multiply this shampoo. Because if we begin to train our thoughts and our prayers towards the multiplication, then when it comes to where we need it, it should be already there.
So the comment was that with laundry soap, you can dilute it and get more mileage out of that if you're in this situation. Well, we've got, I think, one more handout for you, and we've got another question right over here. There we go. There we go.
John, you was talking about solar as opposed to the other generators, and they're more, just kind of give us an idea of just how much more expensive would a solar unit be that would do the same work as a gas generator?
Well, when I saw, that's a good question about how does the solar, as far as costs, compare to like a good gas generator. A good gas generator, fair size, anywhere from about $600 to $1,200. On the solar, easily about triple that. So about about $3,000 to $5,000 for about the same capacity.
Okay.
It's out of reach for some folks, but it's well within reach for others. And so there's one system that I like. The name escapes me right now, but it comes with a base model, and then you can add big batteries on top of it that double its capacity, and you can actually stack that up 4 high. And the one with the one that's the main unit can be charged with AC, but it also can be charged with solar. And it will take care of your refrigerators and, some lights and some other, quite a bit of stuff with that.
I was just thinking about the time, a few days or weeks of gas generator, but, you're going to run out of gas, and
Yes.
the gas stations are not going to be able to pump gas. And your solar, the sun's going to be there. Okay, and so I think that would be a real consideration when you would start doing it. Time. Yeah.
Yes, so solar is a good solution for us here in a lot of ways. Like I say, you can have that solar generator right inside your kitchen if you wanted to, anywhere in the house. Doesn't have to be run outside. Quiet.
How much volume, how big mass
I can't answer the question about how much on the solar panels, but I know that this one system comes with about 2 400-watt solar panels, and that you can add to it. So, and how quickly it charges up within about 2 or 3 hours of sun. So that's a consideration too. Right. Cloud cover. Mm-hmm. But you hit on another thing that just prompted my thought on that, Frank, is conserving. You don't need to run a refrigerator, and I think I just took Sylvia's idea, right? You don't need to run a refrigerator or freezer, for example, 24 hours. Beef it up, get it up to its temperature, and turn it off. You can keep that, run it for about an hour, and you'd be good for about 8-9 hours. Yeah. And so the comment there, the deep freeze would be good for about 24 hours if the lid stays closed. So there's some economy.
Also,
think of Green Acres. Plug this in for a while.
You had to climb the telephone pole.
Turn this out. And, yeah.
So then also, when you're thinking generators in your house, you don't have to do your whole house. Pick, I want this lamp, that coffee pot, and that, and then, it makes it more affordable. If you're thinking of something that maybe has to do your whole house, that might be cost prohibitive. Although they offer payment plans, a lot of them offer payment plans. If you start to think what, 2, 3, 4, 5 things in the house do I want it to, be able to power?
On that note, with the choosing, what you want your generator to power, if you don't have a space heater, that would be a really good investment. And Ollie's in Frankfurt has a huge section, small heaters, large floor heaters, and everything in between, a variety of, different wattages. So, if you need to be warm and you need to cook some food at the same time, you've got your generator, hooked up to an extension cord into the house, which splits to a surge protector, and you've got a little stove burner, we've got a dual stove burner and also a single. You could have that plugged in, and then you could have your heater plugged in, your little space heater, and probably even run a few more things on that generator as it runs.
If you have a gas grill, get a couple of extra tanks.
Definitely more
Definitely.
propane if you have.
You'll see somewhere, I think, Elsie, does this include the list of the list of things that disappear first from the shelves? Okay, that'll have to be one. And these, those type things, the gas grill, tanks, those are some of the first things that disappear. Water, of course. So.
Well, I hope we haven't scared you away, because that's not our intent. The intent is to encourage you that with a plan, with some direction, with some help from each other, we can prepare for just even the basic type of emergency, which I think this scenario would provide, would be there. Well, any other comments, questions?
Put it out, but I saw a field out in Arkansas about 2 weeks ago, 50 acres full of panels.
Yeah.
I said, man, they could raise a lot of rice in that 50-acre field.
Well,
and they had rice fields right near it.
with the solar panels, there's a variety of prices, variety of strengths, and but they'll have their specifications on that for your particular solar generator. Yes, sir. Good question. Where do you put solar panels? You can, of course, what we see them on people's houses, but with these generators, it's not required to put it on a house. You just have to have an exposure to the basically southwest, where you get the most sun. Most of them actually, you can put them on the ground at an angle to the sun. So yes, they could be put on a lawn versus attached to a building. Yes, sir. That's the optimal. That's the best. If you've got two exposures, for example, I know on my house, one side faces east, and then up through about 2-3 o'clock it faces south. About 2 or 3 o'clock, that's the maximum sun. But now from 3 o'clock on, almost west has a better exposure. So yes, it's that's a consideration.
The consideration for not putting them on your house is they're shareable. So if you have a solar generator or solar panels and you've boosted your house, you can take it to a neighbor's or a member, not someone else in the church, and they can use it and they can boost their things, and it's movable. It's whereas something on your house is stationary.
One kind of like, I have a little portable one. I don't like microphones.
They don't like you.
That it folds out, so it's like 400 watts, Charlie, and it's about the size of a 4x8 sheet of plywood when it unfolds. And it's got a little kickstand on it so you can make it face the sun. That's not a whole lot of power, but if you know, most people have LED bulbs now. So if you have some solar you can charge during the day, you're basically charging a battery. Then you drain that battery overnight running your refrigerator and some lights and a few things. And if you need more power, then you have to add a little bit more battery and a little bit more solar to charge it. Or if it's an overcast day, you can also charge your battery if you have a generator. So you could you can get very fuel efficient. Run your generator for 3 or 4 hours, charge the battery, run the battery for 20 hours. Because if you're running a generator, maybe you're only drawing 10% of its useful load, but you're wasting the other 90% of the fuel just keeping the generator spinning. So max it out, charge the battery, then use the battery.
I like the idea of a solar generator versus a whole solar house. I had in my mind I was going to put enough solar on my house to have about 5 or 6 circuits dedicated to just solar all the time. Well, the guy came in and wanted to sell me a mortgage worth of, $60,000, $70,000 system, and I said, no, I just want that. The nice thing about the generators, what Brian was saying, is it's not just solar panels, it's a battery that's storing it, and then the inverters that you can plug into. And this is all in one. When you go to a whole house type of a deal, you have to get all of those things individually and some electrician to figure it all out. But there's some pretty beefy solar generators, like we talked with Frank there, that are a good solution for the cost there.
Okay, so I'm you know me and you know my house. So you're talking, I was thinking you were talking about getting something on your roof for all time.
You can.
But you're saying the solar generator is more economical?
It's all the same. If with this, yeah. So with this little solar generator, whatever size the solar generator is, you can mount the things to your house. You don't have a big yard. You don't have a place to put it outside. It could be mounted to your roof, and it's more of a permanent. You wouldn't be taking it on and off. Somebody would have it up there, and then you'd be set. That would be a good solution for your house.
Okay.
It would be.
Because I got the little gas generator, but I'm thinking about my children too.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if I can be soaking up sunshine on my roof,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, okay.
Yep. So, and what direction is it exposed, and are there trees covering? So there's all sorts of things to consider on that. And that's why I said at the beginning, this is personal. It's your place is different than your place is different than your place. Everybody's situation's just a little bit different. And we'd be happy to come along. One thing that was mentioned here, and we found out during COVID, didn't we? And how quickly stores can come out of stock for a variety of reasons. Okay, used to be there was reserves. The store you could they just keep pulling out. But stores in general will go more on a just-in-time kind of a thing. As soon as we're down to a certain level, they'll order some from wherever. But it didn't take long for things to panic when the dock workers' strike was going to happen, and they were saying with just a couple of days that was already disrupting some things. Had it gone on for a long, long time, there could be a lot of things we would not have be able to go. We're in the habit. We're Americans, by golly. We can go down the store and get it right now. We can order on Amazon. It'll be here tomorrow. We got to change our way of thinking for this scenario, for this exercise. Get beefed up, and if you need some help, please contact me. please call us. We'll come alongside and figure out some of that. But we've given you a lot of things to look at, and I think in particular the one that's kind of that pre-checklist, like go down your house. I've got that. I don't got that. Write down that for all the different things. Okay?
John, can I ask one more question?
Go ahead.
Judy was wanting to know what's the price range for the solar generator?
Yeah, it depends
Roughly?
on the size. I've seen them. In fact, I think Nathan is looking at a pretty small one, but probably would do a refrigerator and such like that in the $500 range, but really something that you want to have to last day in and day out, to do several things, refrigerators, stoves, whatever, probably starting about 3 and going on up from there. 2,400, and that one, again, there's some pluses to it, and there's some limitations to it. So it's a math deal, and I can't really talk the math very smart right now as far as what it would do. I know some things use a lot of juice. Microwaves use a lot. Those heaters that we talked about use quite a bit. So that would drain that. What's that? Yeah. Space heaters use a ton, and coffee pots, coffee makers apparently use a bunch, but I don't care.
We don't care. Okay, two quick thoughts. Get a handheld can opener. Okay? A handheld can opener. When you go to Kroger's and you go down that little aisle and you go, oh yeah, I need one of those. Also, and we got to do it, you guys, get your phone numbers out of your phones. Write them down. Write them down somewhere. So get your phone numbers, your contact list written down somewhere. So out of your phones, because if your phone goes down, you can't access phone numbers. And so get your phone numbers out of your phones written down. Can I say I've done it? No. So, yeah. So, or at least a hard copy somewhere in your safe or something.
Yes, sir. For the video record, what was just mentioned, set up a good communications plan, probably daily, with somebody that you love, because you never know if somebody's fallen, if somebody has passed out, perhaps passed away, and you don't want somebody to come find that person days later. So connect and stay connected with those that you want to do. Yeah. Or one of the little buzzers that contacts folks, that's the I've fallen, I can't get up type of thing, but that sort of thing. Yes, sir. So the comment was walkie-talkies, and that's in here too. Yes, that's a good comment. If cell phones are down, but you've got walkie-talkies in amongst your group, somebody, and so yeah, you can't just have walkie-talkies in the box. You need to have somebody that you're connected with, and talk that out. Hey, if the cell phones go down, let's go on the walkie-talkies. Yes, ma'am.
So I just wanted to say about that. My brother Tom, he and his wife live in North Carolina, and they were in the hurricane area in Morganton. So we didn't have contact with them for several days, and none of us like that. But he and I have discussed things. He's a former Ranger in the Army, and we're actually purchasing rapid radios, which are the nationwide walkie-talkies that don't have a monthly fee on them. So that way, and you can buy more than one handset, and you do have to be able to charge them, but as long as you have a generator or you have solar panels like what Brian was talking about, which you could purchase relatively inexpensively off Amazon. Is that where you got yours? Or yeah, or just right. Yeah. And the other thing I was going to say is we bought a power bank from Harbor Freight, just to have extra. We have generators and all kinds of stuff, but the power bank holds its charge for months, and it's about this size, and you can, it has a handle on it so you can easily move it around. You can charge, your laptop, your cell phones, and of course it has to be recharged again, but like what Brian was talking about, if you have a solar source or your generator, you can recharge that. It takes a long time for that charge to run down in that power bank, and if you keep it charged, it will keep for months. So when you get it out, flip it on to check it, it's got a full charge all the time. And then we're actually looking into Starlink. Brian, do you have Starlink? Yeah. So I would recommend that too. I mean, if you all really want to go deep on being prepared, I don't know how deep everybody wants to go, but we're going to go a little deeper at my house. So we're probably going to do the Starlink, just because if there is a disaster or the cell towers go down, you still have internet access, and you can communicate with a person over the internet through the Starlink. So I would recommend that.
Nancy, so we can record it, and like I say, it's going to be recorded and edited, but wouldn't probably pick up what you have. What was the name of the first product you were talking about?
It's the Rapid radios, and there's actually another brand as well that I could get you the name on that one as well. There's two different ones,
okay,
and they're
so
nationwide.
A recommendation, if cellular goes down, is a product called Rapid Radios, and that it can connect nationwide, I guess?
It does.
Okay, so Rapid
Of course,
Radios
whoever
is
you're
another
connecting
one
with has to have
consider.
one. They have to have a handset as well. So, but you can buy multiples,
Okay,
So,
all right. And then the other product that you were mentioning, and so basically, you can get a power bank that's
yeah.
beefier than this, but it'll last for a good long time, many
Yeah.
weeks anyway.
Yeah, ours has had a charge for months. And it was like $90 at Harbor Freight, this particular one that we have. But we just keep it charged all the time. So
Okay, so this is a product, a battery bank that'll she found at Harbor Freight.
it's a power bank.
Power bank. Okay.
A power bank.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Why don't we close in prayer? Let's. And if you have more questions or want to come take a look, put your hands on some of this up here. That'd be great. If you have any personal questions, if you need my phone number, be happy to hand that out for you. You have to write it down. Don't just put it in your contacts. Oh no, that was a test. That was a test question. No. So Father God, you are the God that provides. You are the God that loves us. You are the God that wants us to fear not. So Father God, we just thank you for each other. We thank you that you have provided this information. We thank you that you care for us. We thank you that you want us to care for each other. And Lord God, I pray a blessing on each person here tonight for protection, for courage, for encouragement, and for a heart to help others through whatever comes our way. Thank you, Father God, for watching over us. We lift your name on high. In Jesus' name, amen.